There it is. Good morning and welcome to the Crypto Mining Show, your one-stop shop for all cryptocurrency news from the perspective of a cryptocurrency miner. Today we're going to be talking about the leaked regulation from the UK that is targeting specifically privacy coins. We all knew it was going to happen, right? On top of that, we're going to be talking about the FTX debacle, specifically how it is a problem for the Democrats and some of the other interesting things surrounding it, including the bill to simplify tax filing from Senator Warren being written by none other than Joe Bankman, who is related to, of course, SBF. And we are also going to talk about FTX's hacked funds and where they are moving to. We have a couple articles talking about Bitcoin miners in general and the lack of capital, that sort of thing that's been going on for a while. And we have some release announcements, partnership announcements, and so on. We'll get into all of that and more right after a word from today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is myself. To support the channel, click the join button below the video and you will get access to our privately hosted Rocket Chat. Selecting the $1.99 option will get you access, and after that you need to head over to the membership tab, scroll down, and expand out your membership perks. Find the section for connecting on social media, and in that section there will be a secret registration URL to join Rocket Chat, where you can sign up to enjoy talking with other cryptocurrency enthusiasts and miners without spammers, scammers, or bots. And welcome back. So first things first, let's talk about the crypto billionaire who was hobnobbing at the White House just 6 months ago. Sam Bankman-Fried is under investigation for mishandling customer deposits as his company implodes. A cryptocurrency billionaire facing federal investigation for mishandling customer funds had high-level White House meetings just months ago as Congress was debating how to regulate his company. And just weeks before he pledged to donate up to $1 billion US dollars, by the way, to Democrats ahead of the midterm campaign. Not 1 million Dogecoin, 1 million US dollars. Sam Bankman-Fried, the owner of cryptocurrency exchange FTX, met on April 22nd and May 12th with top Biden advisor Steve Ricchetti, according to White House visitor logs reviewed by the Washington Free Beacon. At the time, FTX was lobbying Congress and federal agencies to shape regulation of the crypto industry. The meetings are likely to raise questions about the extent to which Bankman-Fried used his promise of political donations to nudge Democrats towards helping his firm. FTX is teetering on the brink of insolvency after announcing it could not fulfill its customers' withdrawal requests due to lack of funds. Bankman-Fried lost nearly all of his $16 billion fortune in the liquidity crunch. And his troubles might get worse. The Securities and Exchange Commission and Commodity Futures Trading Commission are investigating whether FTX mishandled customer deposits in order to prop up the 30-year-old entrepreneur's hedge fund, Alameda Research, according to Bloomberg News. It is remarkable. It is a remarkable fall for Bankman-Fried, who has emerged as one of the Democratic Party's biggest campaign donors. He gave more than $5 million to Biden's 2020 presidential campaign and has given millions more to this cycle to the Democratic Party. In early May, between his first two visits to the White House, Bankman-Fried doled out $865,000 to the DNC, according to Federal Election Commission's records. Earlier in March, he cut 3 checks totaling $66,500 to the Democratic Senate Campaign Committee, and later in June, he sent $250,000 to the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. He said in June, weeks after his most recent White House meeting, that he might give up to $1 billion to support Democrats in midterms, though he backed away from that pledge in September. And then I believe he pledged $39 million, if I recall correctly. Anyways, amid the political spending, Bankman-Fried has led an aggressive lobbying campaign in Washington related to cryptocurrency regulation. He met with Ricchetti, the White House counselor, on April 22nd and May 12th, according to visitor logs, blah, blah, blah. We got through all that already. Bankman-Fried was accompanied in some of the meetings by Mark Wetjen, the head of policy and regulatory strategy at FTX, who served as commissioner on the Commodity Futures Trading Commission under former President Barack Obama. Elora Katz, FTX's chief lobbyist, who also attended the meetings but did not mention lobbying the White House in disclosures filed with the Congress. Bankman-Fried's meetings came weeks after White House officials met with his brother, who directs the billionaire's political operations. Gabe Bankman-Fried visited the White House on March 7th, along with Jenna Narayanan, something like that, a Democratic strategist who once worked for Tom Steyer, and the Democracy Alliance, a network of wealthy liberal donors who fund left-wing causes. Gabe also attended the May 13th meeting with his brother and FTX's lobbyists. Bankman-Fried has made no secret of his plans to influence policymakers. He told former White House Communications Director Anthony Scaramucci in an interview last month that he has traveled to Washington, D.C. every 2 or 3 weeks for the last year to lobby for cryptocurrency regulations, omitting the fact that he had donated significant amounts of money to the lawmakers he lobbied. Bankman-Fried said he was pleasantly surprised at the progress he had made. Quote, "We've been working with Congress to draft legislation that would codify that there is license for these assets. I'm actually surprisingly optimistic that will actually happen," end quote, he said. Bankman-Fried has lobbied for a bill proposed by Senate Agricultural Committee Chair Debbie Stabenow, she is a Democrat from Michigan, that would put the Commodity Futures Trading Commission in charge of crypto regulation. Bankman-Fried donated $5,800 to Stabenow's campaign in February and $20,800 to her joint funding raise committee in January. Bankman-Fried contributed to other Democratic members to the committee amid his lobbying campaign. He sent a combined $31,000 to campaigns in joint fundraising committees tied to Senator Cory Booker, Democrat New Jersey, Tina Smith, Democrat Minnesota, Dick Durbin, Democrat Illinois, and Kirsten Gillibrand, Democrat New York, from October 2021 through June. Bankman-Fried also contributed to top Republicans on the Senate Agricultural Committee. The crypto billionaire gave $5,800 each to ranking member John Boozman, Republican Arkansas, and Senator John Hoeven, Republican North Dakota, in January and June, respectively. Bankman-Fried's competitors in the crypto space have long been suspicious of his lobbying efforts and his claims to want federal oversight and regulation of the crypto market. Yale Osowicz, there we go. We'll just go with that. A cryptocurrency watchdog at the Consumer Choice Center warned lawmakers in late October that Bankman-Fried was trying to regulate away his smaller competitors. Others have expressed skepticism that Bankman-Fried is pushing to have the Commodity Futures Trading Commission oversee cryptocurrency regulation instead of the Securities Exchange Commission, which has stronger enforcement powers and much larger budget. FTX and the White House did not respond to requests for comment. You guys can unsub as we talk about politics all you want. I have a day job and you can suck it. This is a big deal. We need to be paying attention to what is happening here and understand that there are definitely lines being drawn in the sand depending on basically how people want to regulate cryptocurrency. And there are both clearly here, as we've stated, Democrats and Republicans that have received money from, essentially, as far as I'm concerned, a failed exchange that has proven to not be trustworthy. And therefore, in my humble opinion, the candidates should be held accountable here. I guess not candidates at this point, but the representatives and the people that are supposed to help make laws and for the United States should be held accountable here for accepting money. And then we should ask what was being said in relation to regulation from Sam Bankman-Fried, who has so clearly pretty much destroyed, single-handedly brought down the cryptocurrency market for this cycle. As we've said before, though, it is cyclical. Nothing new under the sun here. We've seen it multiple times. It's just going to be interesting to see how this plays out from the political sphere, because there's no avoiding it at this point. What this turns into is an excuse for regulation, and it's going to be really interesting. SBF did also have basically talks with Gary Gensler too. So in Fortune Crypto, SBF's disgrace could make things awkward for Gary Gensler and the Democrats. Gary Gensler blew it again after his agency failed to warn investors about Terra and Celsius, whose collapse this spring sparked a $1 trillion investment wipeout. The Securities and Exchange Commission chair allowed an even bigger debacle to unfold right under his nose. I'm talking, of course, about the revelation this week that the $30 billion FTX empire was a house of cards, and that this golden boy founder, Sam Bankman-Fried, is the crypto equivalent of Theranos' Elizabeth Holmes. To be fair, Gensler was not the only one suckered by SBF. Nearly everyone else, myself included, fell for the narrative that SBF, with his cute afro and all-shucks demeanor, was exactly the savior crypto needed to shake off its dodgy reputation and emerge as part of the mainstream financial system. The problem is that cop on the beat, Gensler, not only failed to spot the crime he appeared to set to go along with a legislative strategy that would have given SBF a regulatory moat and made him king of the U.S. crypto market. According to Washington insiders I spoke with, the reason behind SBF's decision this summer to obtain control over BlockFi was to benefit from the troubled crypto lender's recent settlement with the SEC, basically extending the amnesty BlockFi had received to FTX. Meanwhile, FTX's recent tie-up with securities exchange IEX of Flash Boy's fame would also help SBF's empire come under the U.S. regulatory umbrella. All of this would clear FTX to have the U.S. market to itself as the company lobbied for legislation that could have torpedoed competitors like Binance, as well as the emerging DeFi sector. Gensler, a former campaign finance chair for Hillary Clinton, is of course not the only prominent Democrat who may be willing to flex his influence on behalf of FTX. SBF, you may recall, was one of the biggest donors to President Joe Biden, while his parents, both Stanford law professors, have ties to the party. His mother, Barbara Fried, leads a group called Mind the Gap that helps raise Silicon Valley cash for Democrats, while his father, Joseph Bankman, drafted tax legislation for powerful Senator Elizabeth Warren. And if you guys are worried about that actually being true, here's the actual bill. And you can see here we've done a Control F. And yes, Joe Bankman of Stanford University. And that is right there. So there you go. Links in the description for all the sources as well. It's not a stretch to imagine SBF sought to exploit these political ties to his benefit. All of this does not mean SBF, Gensler, and other high-ups in the Democratic Party sat around plotting an explicit scheme to hand the crypto industry to FTX. That reeks too much of a wild conspiracy theory. Nonetheless, at a time when Gensler is already shrieking for more money and power to address the latest crypto crisis, this would be a good time for skeptics to ask why he failed to stop FTX in the first place, and if anyone else is in high places had a role in enabling this debacle. So what we are seeing is a clear failure by the Democratic Party to spot fraud, right? At the very least. Not saying that we can expect that all around. Also, it's really, really funny right now. I just wanted to point this out, but FTX plugin on Brave browser is just spinning. But it should bring up some concerns if, you have the head of the SEC not having a good enough bullshit detector to go ahead and detect something being up with FTX. At the very least, it destroys his credibility, right? But things get even more weird, right? So if we do... I don't know why I lost this. Hold on. Was it this one? Yeah. So if you're wondering like what the ties are with, essentially, we have this odd post from New York Times. How Sam Bankman-Fried's crypto empire collapsed. Mr. Bankman-Fried said in an interview that he had expanded too fast and failed to see warning signs, but he shared few details about his handling of FTX customer funds. In less than a week, the cryptocurrency billionaire Sam Bankman-Fried went from industry leader to industry villain, lost most of his fortune, saw his $32 billion company plunge into bankruptcy, and became the target of investigations by the Security and Exchange Commission and the Justice Department. But in a wide-ranging interview on Sunday that stretched past midnight, he sounded surprisingly calm. You would have thought that I'd be getting no sleep right now, and instead I'm getting some, he said. It could be worse. The empire built by Mr. Bankman-Fried, who was once compared to titans of finance like John Pierpont Morgan and Warren Buffett, collapsed last week after a run on deposits left his crypto exchange FTX with an $8 billion shortfall, forcing the firm to file for bankruptcy. The damage has rippled across the industry, destabilizing other crypto companies and sowing widespread distrust in the technology. Besides some Twitter posts, messages to employees, and occasional texts to reporters, Mr. Bankman-Fried, 30, has said little publicly over the last week. In the interview on Sunday, he voiced numerous regrets over the collapse of FTX, but he would offer only limited details about the central question swirling around him: whether FTX improperly used billions of dollars of customer funds to prop up a trading firm that he also founded, Alameda Research. The Justice Department and the SEC are examining that relationship. Alameda had accumulated a large margin position on FTX, essentially meaning it had borrowed funds from the exchange, Mr. Bankman-Fried said. It was substantially larger than I had thought it was, he said, and in fact, the downside risk was very significant. He said the size of the position was in the billions of dollars, but declined to provide further details. Mr. Bankman-Fried did, however, agree with critics in the crypto community who said he had expanded his business interests too quickly across a wide swath of the industry. He said his other commitments had led him to miss signs that FTX was running into trouble, like ranking up in League of Legends. Quote, had I been a bit more concentrated on what I was doing, I would have been able to be more thorough, end quote, he said. That would have allowed me to catch what was going on the risk side. Mr. Bankman-Fried, who is based in the Bahamas, declined to comment on his current location, citing safety concerns. Lawyers for FTX and Mr. Bankman-Fried did not respond to requests for comment. Mr. Bankman-Fried's fall has stunned the crypto world, but in recent months, warning signs had emerged that his business empire was in peril and that his ambitions exceeded his grasp. According to interviews with 9 of his colleagues and business partners, as well as internal messages obtained by the New York Times. As he embarked on buying spree this year, investing in I can never pronounce this word. I don't know why I always forget. I'm going to go listen to it again. I know we've listened to this word before, but I'm going to listen again.
Beleaguered.
Beleaguered. I always want to say beleaguered. It's beleaguered. It's okay, guys. Beleaguered crypto companies. He wasn't sharing information with key staff. When he was told he was overextended and was encouraged to hire more employees, he resisted the suggestions, and in Washington, he was pushing an ambitious regulatory agenda while speaking critically about Changpeng Zhao, the chief executive of the rival exchange Binance, who eventually mobilized his extensive Twitter following to set off the run on FTX. Despite the billions that venture capital firms put into the company, FTX had none of those outside investors on its board. In the Bahamas, Mr. Bankman-Fried led a sometimes cloistered existence, surrounded by a small coterie of colleagues, some of whom were in romantic relationships with other FTX employees, according to 4 people familiar with the matter. He and his top lieutenants lived together in a penthouse in Albany, a 600-acre oceanside resort on the island of New Providence in the Bahamas. Asked whether he was overly dependent on that small group, Mr. Bankman-Fried said his circle of close colleagues numbered about 15. Realistically speaking, I don't think anyone can maintain close contact and close communication with more than 15 people, he said. The relationship between Alameda and FTX was the root of Mr. Bankman-Fried's downfall. He founded the trading firm in 2017 and rented offices in Berkeley, California, not far from where he had grown up as the son of Stanford law professors. Soon, the company made millions of dollars exploiting inefficiencies in the Bitcoin market. In 2019, Mr. Bankman-Fried relocated the company to Hong Kong, a friendly regulatory environment. He moved with a small band of traders, including Caroline Ellison, a former trader at the financial firm Jane Street, and went on to start FTX, a marketplace for crypto investors to buy, sell, and store digital assets. FTX and Alameda were closely linked. Alameda traded heavily on the FTX platform, meaning it sometimes benefited when FTX's other customers lost money, a dynamic that critics called a conflict of interest. In the past, Mr. Bankman-Fried had defended the arrangement, saying Alameda provided crucial liquidity injections of capital that enabled other customers to complete transactions on the exchange. Alameda was run by Miss Ellison, but Mr. Bankman-Fried was also involved, contributing to decision-making on big trades. A person familiar with the company's inner workings said, at times, there did not appear to be much of a firewall between the businesses. Alameda was supposed to operate out of a separate office, but a guest who visited FTX's complex in recent months said Miss Ellison had been sitting within a few computers displaying the exchange's trading data. In addition to Mr. Bankman-Fried and Miss Ellison, the circle of executives running the crypto operation in the Bahamas included Nishad Singh, FTX's director of engineering, Gary Wang, the exchange's chief technology officer, and Ramnik Arora, the head of product. Mr. Bankman-Fried moved FTX to the Bahamas in 2021, drawn by a regulatory setup that allowed him to offer risky trading options that weren't legal in the United States. On the exchange, investors could borrow money to make big bets on the future value of cryptocurrencies. He lived in a 5-bedroom penthouse in the Albany Resort's Orchid building with Miss Ellison, Mr. Singh, Mr. Wang, and 6 others. Mr. Bankman-Fried and Miss Ellison were at times romantically involved, two of the people said. Mr. Bankman-Fried said he and Miss Ellison were no longer in a romantic relationship, but declined to comment further. Miss Ellison did not respond to a request for comment. Many details of the relationship among FTX's leadership team were previously reported in the crypto publication CoinDesk. Mr. Bankman-Fried's circle of colleagues was bound by a commitment to effective altruism, a charitable movement that urges adherents to give away their wealth in efficient and logical ways. For coworkers outside the clique, it was sometimes difficult to get time to speak with Mr. Bankman-Fried, a person familiar with the matter said. And Mr. Bankman-Fried made it a point of pride that FTX had only about a 300-person staff, much smaller than its top rivals Binance and Coinbase. Even as he kept hiring down, Mr. Bankman-Fried built an ambitious philanthropic operation. Oh man, I'm running on empty today, I think, boys. Invested in dozens of other crypto companies, bought stock in the trading firm. I wanted to get to, we already know all this. Mr. Bankman-Fried said he wished he'd bitten off a lot less. The venture stuff was probably not really worth it given the attention that it took, he said, referring to the investments in other companies. Perhaps Mr. Bankman-Fried's most ambitious aim was to shape crypto regulation in Washington, where he testifies to Congress and met with regulators. He also used his growing influence in the Capitol to criticize his biggest rival, Mr. ZIL, in private meetings, people familiar with the matter said. Attacking Mr. ZIL was not a good strategic move on my part, Mr. Bankman-Fried said on Sunday. I was pretty frustrated at a lot of what I saw happening, but I should have understood that it was not a good decision of me to express that. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. A former investor in FTX, Mr. ZIL, still owned a large amount of FTT, a cryptocurrency that FTX invented to facilitate trading on the platform. On November 6th, Mr. Zhao announced on Twitter that he was selling the FTT, spooking customers who rushed to withdraw their FTX deposits. "We won't pretend to make love after divorce," Mr. Zhao wrote on Twitter. "We won't support people who lobby against other industry players behind their backs." And that is an important note to make, guys, is essentially Binance, Mr. CZ, is saying here that the lobbying that was going on behind the scenes with SBF, and as we've proven here, essentially the Democrats, specifically all down here, the SEC, as we saw here, right? His dad working with Senator Warren here. What we're seeing is essentially that, yes, he was lobbying, and it does appear that he was lobbying against other potential competitors like CZ. When FTX collapsed, Mr. Zhao initially agreed to buy the exchange in what would have amounted to a bailout. But soon the deal fell through after Binance found problems in the company's financials. In a Signal group chat that included Mr. Bankman-Fried and other FTX representatives, Mr. Zhao posted a curt note. According to two people familiar with the matter, "Sam, I'm sorry," he wrote, "but we won't be able to continue this deal. Way too many issues, CZ." Mr. Bankman-Fried scrambled to line up new financing. Quote, "I shouldn't throw stones in a glass house, so I'll hold back a bit," he said in a message to employees obtained by the Times. Quote, "except to say probably they never really planned to go through with the deal." Meanwhile, at a meeting with Alameda employees on Wednesday, Miss Ellison explained what had caused the collapse, according to a person familiar with the matter. Her voice shaking, she apologized, saying she had led the group down. Over recent months, she said Alameda had taken out loans and used the money to make venture capital investments, among other expenditures. Around the time the crypto market crashed this spring, Miss Ellison explained lenders moved to recall those loans, the person familiar with the meeting said, but the funds that Alameda had spent were no longer easily available, so the company used FTX customer funds to make the payments. Besides her and Mr. Bankman-Fried, she said, two other people knew about the arrangement, Mr. Singh and Mr. Wang. The meeting was previously reported by the Wall Street Journal. Mr. Singh did not respond to a request for comment, and Mr. Wang could not be reached. According to a person familiar with FTX's finance, the exchange lent as much as $10 billion to Alameda. As FTX crumbled, Mr. Bankman-Fried has been, quote, working constructively with regulators, bankruptcy officials, and the company to try to do what's best for consumers, end quote, he said on Sunday. His management of FTX is now the subject of an inquiry by federal prosecutors in New York, who have begun contacting possible witnesses, according to a person familiar with the matter. Others associated with FTX have started reaching out to lawyers for potential representation, said several people briefed on the matter. FTX is being represented in the investigations and the bankruptcy by law firm Sullivan and Cromwell, while lawyers from Paul Weiss are representing Mr. Bankman-Fried. In the interview, Mr. Bankman-Fried declined to discuss the prospect of prison time. Quote, "People can say all the mean things they want to me online," end quote, he said. And, quote, "in the end, what's going to matter to me is what I've done and what I can do," end quote. He has also found other ways to occupy his time in recent days, playing video game Storybook Brawl, though less than he usually does, he said. "It helps me unwind a bit," he said. "It clears my mind." Shortly before the interview, Mr. Bankman-Fried had posted a cryptic tweet, the word "what." Then he had tweeted the letter H. Asked to explain, Mr. Bankman-Fried said he planned to post the letter A and then the letter P. "It's going to be more than one word," he said. "I'm making it up as I go." It's what happened, by the way, for those of you that don't know. He finished that, and then he had one after it. It was weird as well. Basically saying, "This is not financial advice." But why? "I don't know," he said. "I'm improvising. I think it's time." So there is the full coverage of it. It's such a wild story. All right. So I had to pause. I have like a lot of phlegm today. Oh, and today is the last day of the stream until next week, and I'm debating taking next week off before I start the day job. First Mover Americas FTX hacked funds are on the move. They are on the move. The latest price moves in crypto markets in context for November 15th. So the FTX hacker who drained $600 million from the crypto exchange began moving the stolen funds on Tuesday. Having siphoned funds from FTX's wallet on Friday, the attacker then amassed $48 million of the stablecoin DAI before swapping it all to 37,000 ETH. The address now holds more than 288,000 ETH, making it the 35th largest owner of the cryptocurrency, according to data by security firm PeckShield. FTX announced on Friday that it had been hacked only hours after it had filed for bankruptcy. There is the tinfoil hat here, guys, that I'm worried about, where all this ETH goes and dumps into essentially Tornado Cash, and then it comes out of Tornado Cash, it taints all the wallets, and the government utilizes that as a further point to be like, see, Tornado Cash bad. Tornado Cash bad. And that's probably what's going to happen at the end of the day. Why else go into Ethereum? Why else go all into Ethereum? Because we know that, like, from a regulatory perspective, Tornado Cash has been like within like the sights of the SEC for quite some time. Privacy enhancing crypto coins could be banned under leaked EU plans. More disappointment. Crypto providers would be forbidden from touching the likes of Monero or Dash under proposed government amendments to anti-money laundering rules. The European Union could ban banks and crypto providers from dealing in privacy-enhancing coins such as Zcash, Monero, and Dash under a leaked draft of a money laundering bill obtained by CoinDesk. The plans from Czech officials who are chairing talks among EU governments on the proposed law would represent the latest nail in the coffin for anonymous means of payment following tough new rules agreed over the summer. Quote, credit institutions, financial institutions, and crypto asset service providers shall be prohibited from keeping an anonymity enhancing coins, end quote, said a legislative draft seen by CoinDesk, dated November 9th, which has been circulated to the bloc's other 26 member states for comment. An EU diplomat told CoinDesk that the measure was intended to avoid the risks stemming from crypto assets that are specifically designed to avoid traceability. The ban on privacy coins, which prevent snooping into blockchain activity, is intended to mirror one on anonymous instruments such as bearer shares and anonymous accounts that was included in the original bill proposal. The Czech proposal responds to a demand from countries negotiating text, said the diplomat, who spoke on the condition of anonymity on negotiations taking place behind closed doors. The anti-money laundering regulation was proposed in July of 2021 by the European Commission as part of a package that would also forbid large cash transactions and create a new anti-money laundering agency, the AMLA, which we did talk about on this channel, to vet practices at large financial institutions. Under the Czech plans, crypto asset providers would be obliged to verify customers' identity even for occasional transactions of under 1,000 euros, which is 1,040 US dollars, and to probe the nature and purpose of the business for larger payments. That would make rules more onerous for other kinds of firms such as banks, where due diligence rules only kick in for larger payments, apparently due to fears that crypto payments can easily be broken up into smaller chunks. Crypto service providers doing business outside the EU would need to verify whether their counterparty is licensed and verify that money laundering controls they have, the document also proposed, with details of the vetting to be set out by the AMLA. In their parallel amendments to the bill, lawmakers at the European Parliament have zeroed in on the processing of dirty money via the metaverse, decentralized finance, and non-fungible tokens. The bill must be agreed by both the Council and the European Parliament to pass into law. If it does, it would represent the latest in a regulatory onslaught against online anonymity, which has legitimate purposes, which regulators also worry can be used to process criminal funds, bust sanctions, or raise money for terrorists and other pariahs. In August, the U.S. Treasury imposed sanctions on Ethereum-based privacy tool Tornado Cash, which it said was used to raise money for North Korea's weapons program. The first time sanction powers were invoked against a decentralized protocol. The EU's own markets and crypto assets regulation, MiCA, agreed but not yet enforced, prevents exchanges from allowing the tracing of anonymous crypto assets unless they've identified the holders. A parallel set of rules on the transfer of funds imposes extra checks on anyone handling the likes of Monero or Dash. So here begins the regulation. They will target, of course, first all of anything that provides anonymity or security for the individual, because you are assumed guilty until proven innocent when it comes to this, right? And all of this probably leads to central bank digital currencies in the UK, and that being where they head to. It's not dissimilar from what we saw with the internet and encryption. They don't want regular people to have access to stuff like this. And it's pretty scary, honestly. TSMC wins big time as Warren Buffett scoops up 60 million shares worth $4 billion. Shares of the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC, were up in the aftermarket after SEC filings by Berkshire Hathaway revealed that the investment firm had bought a massive stake in the Taiwanese chip manufacturer. The firm, known for its cautious investment approach and mostly disregarding technology stocks, scooped up a little over 60 million shares of the chip maker. Uncertainty drives investors to safer assets and away from the riskier stocks. TSMC has become one of the most crucial countries in the world. Oh no, we lost connection? No, it's there. Okay. So TSMC, what is going on here? You guys good? All right, I think we're good. We had a little bit of buffering. TSMC has become one of the most crucial countries in the world as of late, as it is responsible for supplying some of the largest companies in the world with semiconductors. Its largest customer is Apple, whose reliance on the firm has only increased with time, particularly after Apple launches its own processor lineup for notebooks. However, even before that, the company relied exclusively on TSMC to manufacture its chips, shifting from a dual sourcing strategy that it had followed earlier, which saw it procure some of its chips from Samsung as well. Apple is Berkshire Hathaway's largest investment, and its latest SEC filing shows that the firm owns an absolutely mind-blowing $123 billion in stake in the technology firm. The latest technology addition to the portfolio was TSMC, in which Warren Buffett's legendary investment firm now holds another massive $4.1 billion stake. TSMC's current market capitalization sits at $359 billion and its shares jumped by close to 6% in aftermarket trading after Berkshire Hathaway filed its latest 13F report with the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, at the close of the market yesterday. Why is this significant? This may be a mark for bottom in technology stocks, which would be the NASDAQ, which could be a mark for bottom in general for people that are looking at cryptocurrency too, if you believe that those two are correlated, right? The shares closed at a $77 in aftermarket trading, reversing nearly 2 months of losses on the stock market. These American depository receipts had opened at $133 in January this year and then gone ahead to peak at a little less than $141 at a time when the Russian invasion of Ukraine had not kicked off and the Federal Reserve had not taken an all-out approach to combat inflation. However, 2022 was not a good year for TSMC since the ADRs then bottomed out at $59.43 during the second half of this year, as they shredded more than half of their value at the start of this year. These troubling times for the chip maker seem to be the perfect opportunity to buy shares, at least for Berkshire, whose latest portfolio is worth $296 billion. Turbulence in the economy has also affected TSMC, and the fab has been forced to reduce its capital spending for this year's latest quarter, as an order slowdown and late delivery of equipment leaves it with a reduced need to manufacture chips. The slowdown comes after the fab was forced to pull out all stops for meeting the demand of the automotive industry, had faced a mismatch between its orders and the market demand for cars after it cut back orders in the aftermath of the coronavirus pandemic. TSMC is one of the handful of companies in the world that is capable of manufacturing chips with advanced 3nm chip fabrication technology, and the firm started 3nm production this year and is also building a factory in the US to bring chip manufacturing closer to North America. And because basically they're currently in Taiwan, Russia backs China in the claim of sovereignty over Taiwan, and TSMC, as we read about last year, last month, TSMC was worried about US's ability to manufacture semiconductors. They're working on getting it spun up over here, mainly, I think, out of fear of the Chinese government. And seeing Warren Buffett come in at this time and decide to invest would be, I mean, obviously a bullish signal in the tech stocks, as far as I can tell, but not financial advice. And I'm just a dummy on the internet making videos. So that's how I would read it. I thought it was really interesting and that we should bring it up. It could be a good sign for cryptocurrency as well, too. All right. Bitcoin mining firm TeraWulf raised $17 million of capital in Q3, but cash reserves remain low. The mining firm has a liquidity position of $4.5 million and outstanding loan principal of $138.5 million. Bitcoin mining company TeraWulf, I hate it when CoinDesk does this. They put a picture of, these are the old Sapphire RX 580s, by the way. But they talk about Bitcoin mining and then they show a picture of GPUs mining, and it's just... do better, guys. Bitcoin mining company TeraWulf raised $17 million in capital in the third quarter, but its liquidity remains at $4.5 million, according to a statement on its third quarter earnings released after the market closed on Monday. The $17 million came from $9.5 million in equity from existing investors and $7.5 million of incremental procedures under a term loan. The Monday statement said that $138.5 million of principal under the term loan was outstanding at the end of the quarter. Cash flow has proven to be a key determinant of miners' ability to navigate the bear market, with some major miners facing liquidity crises that could even lead them to bankruptcy. TeraWulf's cost of revenue increased dramatically in the quarter as energy prices in New York State, where it mainly operates, soared while it increased its energy demand with new operations. The miner paid 134% in cost per dollar of revenue compared to 43% in Q2. The miner is trying to bring costs down for 2023, the statement said. In the same quarter, TeraWulf significantly increased its hash rate or computing power and energy capacity that could be used for deploying mining machines. About 50 megawatts of power were brought online at its mining facility in Lake Mariner in upstate New York. The company had 11,000 miners operating at the end of the quarter, and another 9,000 are scheduled to be plugged into the 50 megawatt in Lake Mariner. As a result of the expansion, Wolf mined 117 Bitcoin in the third quarter compared to 29 in the second quarter. Wolf's share prices were down 0.8% in the after-hours trading on the NASDAQ on Monday. TeraWulf also said it right-sized its investment in a joint venture with a subsidiary of Talon Energy to 25%. The venture relates to a 200 megawatt mine in Pennsylvania dubbed Nautilus. The miner's computing power goal for the first quarter of 2023 remained unchanged at 5.8 exahash a second. TeraWulf is one of the most indebtedly publicly listed miners compared with its equity. Data analyzed by CoinDesk in June showed. I think we had a whole list of those too. Is this how we get to the list? Yeah. Debt to capital ratio. We thought that Core Scientific was doing better than it was back then, huh? And then Riot started to come out on top. It's hard to read those things and actually speculate. We have some announcements, though, some new releases and announcements. Meowcoin is partnered with Flux Labs. If you guys are bullish on, Flux and on Meowcoin, well, there you go. I still have concerns, like a ton of partnerships with Flux. And I feel like it does, like I say, add a ton of exposure for them that can put them in pickles and has in the past, with Terra Luna, Solana, so on. But if you guys are bullish on Meowcoin and Flux, there's the partnership that'll make you happy. That being said, we also have 2 miner releases. BZ Miner version 12.1.1. Pretty big release. In this release, they fixed nice hash pool connection for Caspa. They fixed lock clock going to idle on memclock. They fixed radiant dual mine issues. They fixed radiant duplicate share issue. Added test ZIL option in poolconfigs.txt. ZIL DAG reset overclock, not using overclock delay option. Fixed ZIL window clock for shard pool. Added pool ID to pool configs and config.txt file. They fixed the --help and -h commands. They added the K1 pool ZIL for force algo 2. And that will create a ZIL connection automatically to K1 pool using First Algo's wallet. And they added Discord webhooks. So if you want to get in with Discord webhooks, that would be cool. Useful for solo mining. A couple of these. I don't know. I don't think I got good sleep last night, even though I feel like I slept for a while. We got also a miner release from Gminer, version 3.13. 7 hours ago. They say they significantly improved efficiency for Caspa. So maybe check it out. And they added beam hash algorithm for NVIDIA GPUs. Let's get into mining profitability or lack thereof right after a word from today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is myself. To support the channel, click the join button below the video and you will get access to our privately hosted Rocket Chat. Selecting the $1.99 option will get you access, and after that you need to head over to the membership tab, scroll down, and expand out your membership perks. Find the section for connecting on social media, and in that section there will be a secret registration URL to join Rocket Chat, where you can sign up to enjoy talking with other cryptocurrency enthusiasts and miners without spammers, scammers, or bots. Okie dokie. So what do we got here? Well, RTX 3090 per usual, clocked at 10 cents a kilowatt hour and corrected Zel hash, Kapow, ProgPow, and Firo proof of work. You lose the least amount of money mining Casper right now at losing 24 cents a day after 10 cents a kilowatt hour. And then you got Xano losing 31 cents a day after 10 cents a kilowatt hour, and Meowcoin bullish today, losing 36 cents a day after 10 cents a kilowatt hour. Got to kind of scroll down there to get our usuals. Ravencoin at losing 42 cents a day after power. Yoxa losing 44 cents a day after power. Firo losing 40 cents a day after power. Flux losing 39 cents a day after power. And Ethereum Classic losing 49 cents a day after power. Mining pool stats, if we take a look at Bitcoin, it's down 13.6% over the past 7 days. And hash rate has dropped off down to 277 exahash a second, down from 280 exahash a second yesterday. Ethereum Classic is at 151 terahash a second and is down 11% over the past 7 days. Ethereum Proof of Work is down 24% over the past 7 days and is sitting at 29.75 terahash a second. And Ethereum Fair is down 19% over the past 7 days and is sitting at 3.7 terahash a second. If we take a look at Flux, it is down 28% over the past 7 days and sitting at 6.41 mega solutions a second. And the new partner we'll take a look at, Meowcoin, is down 20% over the past 7 days and sitting at 205 gigahash a second. With some spikiness, probably due to everybody trying to be bullish on it, more than likely. Ravencoin, down 18% over the past 7 days and sitting at 12 terahash a second. And Ergo is down 17% over the past 7 days and sitting at 45 terahash a second. Finally, we'll take a look at Caspa, which is up 62% over the past 7 days and is at 222 terahash a second. Holy moly. Caspa really pumping here today. ASIC miner profitability, we got the Antminer L7 sitting at losing 13 cents a day on Digibyte. But let's look at this real quick and see what it's actually doing. 983 a day on Digibyte and Doge for the L7. iPolo V1 doing $13.47 a day on ZIL ETHW. Jazzminer X4 doing $12.33 a day on ZIL ETC or Ethereum Classic. And the E9 doing $9.33 a day on ZIL ETH Proof of Work. Scrolling down from there, we still have the iPolo G1 sitting at $2.48 a day on 2 miners for Grin. We got the Antminer D7 doing $4.59 a day on Dash. And then we got to scroll down to the S19. And it looks like we are doing basically, let's go ahead and see what it's at. Yeah, losing 43 cents a day on Digibyte. I wouldn't trust that you could actually make any money on NiceHash with it. All right, boys. I got to get ready to go. And I think I need to go get some caffeine. I didn't have any caffeine this morning and I cannot stay awake. Let's get some questions and answers till about 10:45. I know it's a little early today, but got a lot of stuff to do and I got to fly out to Wisconsin and I don't have any warm clothes. So I got to get that done. Remember, super chats are never required. Always appreciate first to be answered because they're the easiest to read. Tagging at Son of a Tech will highlight the message orange and I will be able to read it easier. And therefore I will answer it quicker. Ryan Casper says at Son of a Tech is because NiceHash picked up Caspa. Makes sense. Heavy Flavor says, as Son of a Tech, I noticed a few coins did not follow the recent drops. Litecoin, TON, XCH, Caspa, they even have a good pump. Well, Litecoin more than likely due to its relationship to Dogecoin, but it also had its own news cycle that bumped it up. And then as far as TON, I have no idea. Caspa has clearly, like Casper releasing the preliminary transactions per second with the conversion to Rust, it was super bullish, right? Bojangles, thanks for the $4 super sticker, boosting that algorithm. Thank you, good sir. Oh, so today, trying to think, I could well, yeah. I'm trying to think how I want to plan out my day. Because I kind of want to, yeah, I kind of want to, well, no, I should go over there. Well, six. Sorry, I'm thinking about if I could rearrange my day. So if I go, because I was thinking, I gotta fly out at like 6 in the morning or some shit. So if I have to fly out at 6 in the morning, I don't know that I want to be. I gotta drive an hour to the hour and a half to the airport. I don't know if I want to be staying up late doing jujitsu. Sheepy, thanks for the $5 super sticker. Email says, "That's something just a comment when you talked about EU regulations and they're related to UK CBDC. You know that UK is not a part of the EU anymore." Yes, I'm aware. But it'll be all those regulations are going. Well, you have like with Brexit, correct? But you have to pay attention to the fact that the EU will have its own CBDC as well. Right. I may have said UK instead of EU though. Sure. Gordon said, at Tech, when is Casper Rust rewrite coming out? Well, they already released the test net. I'm trying to drink a little bit of this electrolyte solution, but it's pretty bad. Mm-hmm. Good morning, oh great one. Well, the UN is the country that is clearly, or not the country. See, I gotta go. I can't even get my head working. The UN is the one that is attacking countries for utilizing stable coins, right? Like the UN doesn't want that happening because the way the UN makes money is by destabilizing countries. But thanks everybody for watching today. Be sure to hit the like, comment, subscribe, and notification bells down below. I'm going to get going because I can't do it anymore. I'll see you next Tuesday. Which is actually kind of literal. We're going to be gone. But I'll try to get some videos out for you guys. I don't know what they're going to be. I don't know how much time I'm going to get or anything. I have no idea what's happening. I'm going to go fly somewhere to meet someone that I've only met once. And hopefully I don't get murdered. See you next Tuesday.